What is up, guys? Wrestling Premier is here. We are finally going to talk about Drew McIntyre, or Drew Galloway's run outside of WWE. Now, the reason why I've been avoiding this is because I wasn't very knowledgeable about his stuff, like outside WWE. I do know about his Impact run and whatnot, but his ICW run is where I struggled. I didn't talk about it a lot in this video, so I apologize for that, but I obviously mentioned his return promo there. I also mentioned how he faked a retirement speech like in 2016. Some stuff basically. But this video is mostly about his Impact run, so yeah. Now, before I start this video, let me just say that the next video is CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy. That feud is seriously one of the best feuds of the PG era, and you guys want it. Like, you guys have been asking me for days to make the video. You guys have also been asking me for McIntyre, so I had to decide on which one first, and I decided on Drew Galloway. So next video is CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy, the feud. Also, what a week this has been. It's packed. Like, content wise, I think this is one of the most stacked weeks for me, and everything else basically, like All-Star Weekend, Champions League, TakeOver Portland. A lot of stuff's going on this week, man. Alright, right now, let's talk about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre at this point was a former WWE superstar looking to achieve greatness. He had just been released, and this motivated him to work much harder than he previously was. Now, this video is a part of a series I'm doing about McIntyre. I'd call this series Drew McIntyre's Road to WrestleMania. The next video will come before WrestleMania. I'm not sure when, but guaranteed before WrestleMania. Right now, let's focus on Drew's run outside WWE. Alright, once he was released, Drew McIntyre changed his name to Drew Galloway, which was his actual name. On July 27, 2014, Galloway finally returned to ICW. He hadn't wrestled for the promotion in about 5 years. Once Galloway appeared in an ICW ring, everyone in the arena went nuts. Galloway cleared house, and it looked like he was celebrating with the ICW Heavyweight Champion Jack Jester, who was his friend, but then he suddenly hit the big boot on him. Galloway then grabbed a mic and he listed all of his accolades, and he continued to attack Jester, and he even slammed him through a table. Galloway grabbed the title and he continued his promo. Drew walked back into the ring and he explained why he was in ICW. He stated that he slapped himself in the face for being complacent, and he said that he didn't need the machine behind him. All he needed to do is announce to the world that he's back. Man, that crowd was 110% on his side. They were in the palm of his hands. Galloway said that he has goosebumps on his arms due to the fans, and then he mentioned the phrase, "what's best for business." He gave us a flashback to the time period where he was called a chosen one, and Galloway said that when he's used to the best of his abilities, he's not best for business, he's the in business. Drew ended the promo declaring his intentions. He wants the ICW Heavyweight Championship. He's back. He wanted everyone to put it out there on the internet, social media, everywhere. Basically, McIntyre at this point had freedom to show everyone who he really was. It reminds me of this scene in The Other Guys.
You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay? I am a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
He had to prove himself to the world. Galloway's run outside WWE began with an Evolve Championship match against Chris Hero. In his debut, Drew won the Evolve World Championship, and while being Evolve Champion, Galloway won many other titles. The Open the Freedom Gate Championship, the Scottish Heavyweight Championship, and most importantly, the ICW Heavyweight Championship, which made him a two-time champ. He was all over the place, having good performances and honing his craft. Galloway held the Evolve World Championship for 336 days, and he held the ICW World Heavyweight Championship for 378 days. He was on a roll. He also won the Evolve Tag Team Championships with Johnny Gargano and Chuck Taylor. He appeared in many promotions, including PWG. Yeah, sure, he never won a title there since he only made a couple appearances, but he had a few good matches there. Right now, I'm going to cover Galloway's run in TNA. This is the run that put him on the map, although that's debatable since he was all over the place and he put himself on the map. Like, if you think about it, he basically made himself relevant. Anyways, let me cover his TNA run right now. On the February 20th, 2015 episode of Impact, a hooded guy came out to the ring and he attacked the BDC, you know, the Beatdown Clan. He even whacked Low-Ki with a pipe. The hooded guy revealed himself, and it was Drew Galloway. Due to the pipe blasting him, Low-Ki was bleeding profusely and he was pissed. Drew finally debuted in an Impact ring on the March 6, 2015 episode. and he beat BDC member Kenny King after hitting the Future Shock DDT on him. He managed to evade the BDC after the match. Now, there was a promo in particular during this time period that just showed how talented Drew Galloway was. He said that these fans wanted professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, and I just thought it was so awesome. I felt like that promo showed what McIntyre was capable of. Since Galloway had an issue with the Beatdown Clan, he had to form a group. He, along with Micah and Eli Drake, were known as the Rising. Their goal was to take down the BDC. They introduced themselves to everyone on the April 10, 2015 episode of Impact, and later that night, a 6-man tag team match was booked, the Rising versus the BDC. That match wouldn't end well for the Rising because Homicide randomly came out and he was revealed to be the newest member of the Beatdown Clan. They brutalized the Rising and they celebrated. The BDC continued to attack the Rising a few weeks later, and low-key even blasted Drew with a pipe. This led to a pipe on a pole match between Drew Galloway and Low-Key, and this was probably something that Vince Russo booked. Galloway ended up winning this one after hitting the Future Shock DDT on Low-Key, but the feud didn't end there, obviously. The following week, Drew beat MVP, but right after the match, Eric Young suddenly came out and he whacked the Rising with a steel chair. Kurt Angle got involved with this since he was feuding with Eric Young, and this led to a hardcore war between the Rising, Angle, and Lashley versus BDC and Eric Young. Eric Young's team ended up winning the match, and the feud wouldn't end there. BDC during this time period added Hernandez to the group, but then, on the July 1st episode of Impact, the Rising would face the BDC in a loser must disband match. Drew Galloway was the only member of his team remaining, and he tried to fight BDC off, but it wasn't enough and the Rising disbanded. Following this, Galloway decided to set his sights on the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Ethan Carter III was the champ. You know, it's funny to see EC3 here and see that he was treated like such a big deal. Drew Galloway, on the July 15, 2015 episode of Impact, won a 20-man battle royal to become the #1 contender to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. That title match didn't go in Galloway's favor as Eli Drake turned on him. EC3 managed to retain the title due to this, and it looked like Eli Drake was feigning a knee injury. The following week, McIntyre asked the fans what should he do to Eli Drake. They told him to kick his ass. The two brawled and Drake ran out the ring. Now, these two are former teammates, as you know, and this led to a match between Drew Galloway and Eli Drake. During the match, Drew took out his frustrations on Eli, but that would cost him the match as Drake managed to roll him up and use the ropes for leverage to emerge victorious. The feud wasn't over there as they were set to face off in a no disqualification match. McIntyre gave Drake the white noise through a table to end the feud on top. Following this feud, Galloway refocused on the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He earned the right to face champion EC3 at Bound for Glory, but this match also involved Matt Hardy. Oh, and Jeff Hardy was the special guest referee since he was basically EC3's assistant at this point. Jeff Hardy ended up whacking EC3 with a chair after EC3 slapped him. Hardy even hit the Twist of Fate on him, and Galloway hit the Claymore on him, but Matt Hardy instantly hit the Twist of Fate on Galloway, and the new champ was Matt Hardy. Galloway continued to try to get a title shot, but he failed in doing so. It wasn't until Galloway won a briefcase from the Feast or Fired match that he even got a title shot. Or did he? Because if he was unlucky, then his briefcase could have contained a pink slip and he would have been fired. Anyways, Galloway's briefcase contained a world championship shot, so he wasn't fired. Before Galloway cashed in that briefcase, he faced Kurt Angle in a rematch to their previous encounter a few weeks beforehand. Angle beat Galloway in that match, so he was looking for a different result. This matchup delivered, and it ended with Kurt Angle tapping out to Galloway. WWE did this 2 years later. They had McIntyre make Angle tap out to the ankle lock. Obviously, in this one, Angle tapped out to the crossface, but in that one, he tapped out to his own move. On the March 15, 2016 episode of Impact, Drew Galloway finally cashed in the briefcase on Matt Hardy to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Such a great moment for Drew. He was released from WWE 2 years earlier, and from there he worked hard. He worked on his promo skills, his wrestling skills, his physique, everything. This is definitely a significant milestone in his career. The following week, Drew spoke about how he's champ. He said that he's been in the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and all of that feels worth it because he's standing here as champion. He wanted everyone to look at this title differently, and he said that he's going to be a fighting champion. He's going to put TNA on the map again. Galloway in an interview stated that he's going to become the first traveling world champion, which means that he's going to defend the title all over the world. Now, just seeing Drew in this interview, you could feel his emotions. He always wanted to be the champion. He even said that he wrestles nearly all the time whenever he can. He lives and breathes professional wrestling. There was probably no one more deserving of becoming the champion than Drew. Probably, keyword probably. He put so much effort into this that if he didn't become a champ, then he failed as a wrestler. It felt like that was his mindset. From there, Galloway defended the title against the Hardys and Tyrus. Also, Drew brought the TNA title to ICW and he was booed by the audience and some even threw beer at him. Galloway at one point told the fans to suck his. Now, for some context, Galloway turned heel about a year earlier and he teamed up with Jack Jester. So that's why all of this happened. He was a heel at this point. Galloway's title reign would finally come to an end at Slammiversary when Lashley ended up being the one who dethroned him. From there, Galloway appeared in WCPW and ICW again. In ICW, Galloway wrestled for a few months before suffering an injury, I believe, because in a promo he claimed that he suffered some injuries. Now, during that promo, he stated that he needs to take some time off for surgery because of his injuries. At one point, it looked like Galloway was on the verge of tears, but then he suddenly punched Mark Dallas, the owner of ICW, and he cussed him out. He also said that he is the personification of this business. Now let me give you some context here. Galloway at this point was in a group called the Black Label. They were set to face Mark Dallas' team with the winner taking complete ownership of ICW. So he faked that departure to catch them off guard, I guess. That's what it looked like, some mind games and stuff like that. Anyways, the Black Label lost after Finn Balor interfered. In WCPW, Galloway won the World Championship and he had a good title reign. Back to Impact Wrestling. Drew returned to the company, and at this point he was a heel because he attacked Aaron Rex on a previous episode of Impact. That happened in August of that year. He feuded with Moose over the Impact Grand Championship, and he ended up winning it on the January 19, 2017 episode of Impact. He held the title for about 2 months before losing it back to Moose. At this point, Galloway began to get WWE interested in him. I mean, why wouldn't they be? He had an awesome heel run in ICW, an amazing story in Impact, and he competed in nearly every other top promotion. So what was there left for him to do? The fact that he accomplished so much in 3 years is astonishing to me. He was motivated because of his release. He wasn't complacent at all. On April 1st, 2017, Drew Galloway finally re-signed with WWE. This time, though, he was sent down to NXT. Now, I know I didn't talk much about his ICW run, but it was still great regardless. He was such an awesome heel there, and the Black Label stuff was just great. It showed what Galloway was actually capable of. Anyways, Drew Galloway was once again renamed to Drew McIntyre, and he appeared at NXT TakeOver Orlando. From there, he finally returned to a WWE ring on the April 12, 2017 episode of NXT. He returned with a new theme song, which was originally Roderick Strong's, but they made a remix for McIntyre. Now, I felt like this theme song signaled a new chapter in McIntyre's career. A lot of us want Broken Dreams back, but to be honest, I feel like it doesn't fit his current character. I would want to see him come out to it in the future, but that song should be, in my opinion, remembered for McIntyre's Chosen One run. And that's it for this video. I apologize for not mentioning much of his ICW run, but I'm just not very knowledgeable there, that's why. I mean, even this Impact stuff was kind of hard to do, so I'm sorry about that. I apologize if, I forgot something. Anyways, that's it for this video. Make sure you hit a Future Shock DDT on the like button and perhaps a Claymore on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.